Welcome back to the First Impact channel. This is David, and today we're going to be reviewing Dragon Ball Super episode 55. So we start off this episode by seeing Goku showing up to the planet of Beerus and Whis, and he is told that he is summoned by Zeno, which is inherently terrifying for those of you paying attention. But Goku, in his normal ways, is just kind of like, I'm busy, so the time machine's finished. What do you want me to do? Which I find to be quite humorous, and they've done a great job of keeping the comedy intact. So this is very interesting in general to me for just a gigantic amount of reasons, but we're going to get into that a little further down into the episode. So Whis suggests going to the Supreme Kai's world because Whis says that he's basically, even with his speed, he's unable to reach the planet in a due amount of time. So it would take him about 2 days apparently, which is really interesting and says a lot about the power differences between Beerus, Whis, and the other Kaios. And it's very interesting to me because not everybody is measured in strength by pure physical strength, but their abilities as well. And I feel like they've been kind of subtly hinting at that through these episodes recently. And that's a really cool thing for Dragon Ball to go through again, because we've seen this time and time again with different types of villains and different types of characters, but it's never really hit on very hard. And this definitely seems like a strange version of an underdog story being told with Black, Zamasu, different people like that. So we're seeing a lot more of this theme occur, and I think that that's really refreshing and very interesting for the show so far. So I have mentioned before that Bulma has completed the time machine. Mai wants to tell Trunks about this, but Bulma says that he's still recovering from the training, and by that I mean the vicious beating he received from Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan Vegeta. And I really did enjoy that fight, guys. Let me know how you felt about it in the comments. I just absolutely adored what they were doing there with their character dynamics, and I really liked the whole fighting sequence, even if it wasn't super animated, but it was there and represented, so I did appreciate that quite a bit. Now, Goku basically questions Beerus, and he basically asks, why am I going here? And Beerus basically doesn't even give him a legitimate answer immediately. He basically tells him that, what are you doing wearing that attire? Can't you wear something a little more formal? And I couldn't help but laugh at that. The comedy aspect between those two is just getting better and better as characters, and they've really done a great job of making them kind of bond. So I'd love to see more interaction with these two, and in this kind of style, which is just hilarious to me. Now, Beerus asks Whis to take care of Supreme Kai, because Whis has suggested that they go to Kai because he can get them there immediately, instantly. And Supreme Kai is important for many reasons right now, other than the obvious. Now, there's some exposition given about what the tie is between Beerus and Supreme Kai. And apparently, the Supreme Kais and Gods of Destructions of each universe come in a pair. Now, we've seen this theme also occur with Champa and his attendant, Vados. But it's really interesting that they're trying to really kind of make everything kind of have a yin and yang kind of effect. And this is probably due to the immense amount of kind of influence that Chinese literature has on the Dragon Ball series. Because as most of us know, and if you don't know, Dragon Ball is actually it's kind of based off of a Chinese story, which is Journey to the West. I mean, the name is even so close in the sense that, Goku is Son Goku, and the main character of that book is Sun Wukong. So very, very similar. And oh, don't forget, Sun Wukong is the Monkey King. He is a monkey. So a lot of huge ties and a lot of inspiration coming from that. And there definitely seems to be a lot of Taoist mentality going on right now, which is very interesting, and it kind of elevates Dragon Ball to a bigger thing than what it kind of has been. I mean, it's always had a lot of these themes, but it seems to be really hitting hard on these kinds of themes, and I find that to be excellent, and that shows some good story writing right now. And I'm very excited about that, and I'd like to see some more literary kind of nuances being brought to the script. So basically, since they are pairs and they come in pairs, they are apparently dependent upon one another. Now, this is interesting because if Supreme Kai dies, Beerus-sama will inevitably die, apparently immediately, which is pretty freaking crazy because we know that Supreme Kai, his power isn't that high, at least in comparison to Goku, the Z Fighters, or really Beerus and Whis, which is interesting that there's such a disparity between those two when they have basically mirrored image roles. So maybe we'll see the Supreme Kai have more abilities as opposed to strength coming in the future, which I think is very interesting as well. Now, Zamasu is being kind of a wiener, as usual. We cut to him, and he is going over his whole mortals aren't to be trusted thing, and they are still on this barbarian planet thing. And we still see these barbarians beating the crap out of each other. This was interesting to me as well because it was a bit animated as well. Not super animated, but it was there. We saw a lot of fighting and a lot of their supposed blood, I assume. But it was actually kind of brutal. Like, they're really trying to hammer it into our heads that these are not good guys and that they're almost trying to vindicate Zamasu and give him a reason to be the way that he is. He's not actually just a black and white bad guy, which is actually very interesting because we don't see a whole lot of that. We've seen quite a bit of it with Cell, but Cell is a different story because at the end of the day, you know, he still wants to kill because he wants to be perfect. This guy feels so much more motivated than really any of the Dragon Ball villains I think we've ever really seen. Most of them are just like the black and white, like, we gotta kill people because it's fun. But, you know, just to put that all behind us here, we are still seeing these guys fight. Zamasu talks about how they're bad and they're never going to learn. We get some exposition to know that the gods, quote unquote, gave mortals the ability to basically learn and gave them, quote unquote, knowledge, which is very vague, but I have a feeling that that's going to play somewhat of a role in the future coming story. It seems like there's some sort of, definitely some kind of crazy thematic plot thing going on with that. And the way that Zamasu talks about how doing nothing is a sin, you know, to stop these guys. So Zamasu is very much, has a strong sense of justice, and it's definitely showing. But when we see characters like this in a lot of fiction, we know exactly where they're going. Now, I'm pretty positive at this point, guys, that Zamasu is pretty much almost definitely black. And that's, I feel like that's been apparent for a while. This could still be a red herring, but it's almost obvious. So he is seen with one of these barbarians, and this barbarian is about to attack him in Gowasu, and he dives in front of the punch that this barbarian throws at them, and he blocks it, which looks very cool. It's kind of just like it's a force field almost, and shoots him across. And they could have left after this because the barbarian is a distance, and he comes charging at them, and Zamasu does exactly what you think he's going to do. He powers up a little bit. The ki around his hand is noticeably turning black, but they use a strange filter almost to kind of be like, well, we don't want to give you all the answers, but they use a weird filter and his hand turns black. Well, the ki around it turns black, but everything else is a different color too. So this could be more of them trying to trick us with this, but it is almost certain that some kind of variation of Zamasu is black at this point. He actually cuts this barbarian in half. This is probably the most brutal kill we've seen in Dragon Ball Super yet, guys, and that's kind of interesting as well because there's not really been much death at all. So they really took a turn for this one and are really trying to play up Zamasu just kind of turning really evil. And that's really great too because he's being developed very well and we're spending a lot of time with him, which I'm really happy about. So he cuts this guy in half and it is just absolutely brutal. Gowasu is understandably and expectedly just really disappointed, and he kind of stands his moral ground by basically saying, like, you know, we could have left, you didn't have to kill this guy. And he also tells him that, you know, this is one of those things where you could have made a better decision, and something, basically he's almost kind of saying that something seems off with Zamasu. And we kind of pick up on this because, as mentioned before, the tea is playing some small role. Now, this tea may still play a role in poisoning Gowasu later or something, but we see the tea changing colors. Now, Gowasu gives exposition that the tea is a reflection of one's soul when they're making it, essentially, and it keeps fluctuating. Now, I'm not really sure exactly what they're going to try to get at. I mean, obviously, you know, Zamasu is going bad, but the weird thing is that it kind of keeps changing back and forth, and it is occasionally murky, which shows that your heart is clouded and impure, or it is clear, well, at least the way that normal tea looks otherwise. So there seems to be some kind of struggle within Zamasu. Now, this could be very much like Boo's struggle within, we might even see some sort of incarnation of that, which I would find to be very interesting and a nice little callback. But it has been done before, so I guess we will have to see the execution in the future. Now, we definitely get some really interesting stuff because Goku is about to visit Zeno, and he arrives there, and he is greeted by a man named Dai Shinkan. And he is apparently said to be one of the top 5 strongest in all of the universes, not just this one, but all of them, guys. Now, this is potentially interesting because Goku, of course, is Goku, gets a little excited and is told by Whis that he can't even get close to this guy. And, of course, Goku is incredibly excited by this prospect. But Whis says, do not even dare consider, doing anything that would be, challenging him to a fight or anything that, would be disrespectful. And, as I said, Whis can't even touch this guy. And Goku can't even get near Whis right now. So they're really amping up the power of these characters right now. And that's pretty exciting because now that we have these guys coming up, there's no end to the amount of power and the expansion of the Dragon Ball universe, it seems at least. So when Goku finally meets Zeno in his chamber of sorts with this really creepy music, which, by the way, this is a really standout song in the soundtrack so far. It is very ominous, but at the same time, it is very much childlike, and they're really trying to play this whole childlike thing up with the Zeno King right now. Now, that's really interesting, and I'm not really sure if they're trying to kind of get at him having a childlike sensibility for a certain reason, but this is heavily, heavily implied in this episode, guys, and I think that this is a very, very important thing to note. So when they meet, Goku is referred to as Goku-kun, which is an honorific, usually kind of, used for children or people of a younger age. Now, this is definitely understandable and makes complete sense because, well, he is below Zeno. So Zeno has every right to call him Zeno-chan. Well, I should say Goku-kun. And when I mean Zeno-chan, that is what Goku calls him afterwards, which chan is very interesting, guys. If you're not familiar with Japanese honorifics, and I kind of discussed this last episode, chan is usually used to refer to someone as cute, young, or small. It adds somewhat of even a feminine kind of flair to it, which is very interesting as well because this shows the lightheartedness of Zeno towards Goku. But then we see him being incredibly angry and quick when he's referring to anyone else. Well, at least Supreme Kai or his guards who try to stop Goku after, Goku calls him Zeno-chan and is being so casual and informal with him. So that is very interesting to note, guys, that Zeno is, yet again, as I said, very childlike, very much trying to be like this weird, whimsical being. So I'm very, very curious to see where his character's going, and as we know, this guy could make just everything cease to exist within an instant. He even tells his guards when he tells them to back off, he says that, shut up or I'll erase you. And those are some pretty big words coming from Pikachu's voice actress and his Seiyu. It's kind of scary, but it's interesting and adds a really strange kind of thing to it, which yet again, we've seen this with Boo, but we've never seen anyone with this level of omnipotence with that kind of demeanor, which I just think is great because I've always loved that about Boo. Boo was so carefree, but he was so dangerous, and it definitely feels like this is a similar situation. So Goku is basically, he asks why he's there, and Zeno tells him that, he wants a friend, which this is incredibly cute, guys. I love this. I love how they play together and kind of talk, and he just giggles and has all this fun, and Goku's clearly still worried, so Goku is trying to get out of there quickly and says, I could bring you an even better friend. I'm kind of busy right now and I've got a lot of stuff to do, but when I get back, I'll play with you and bring someone better. And that is also very, very funny. So we don't know who that's going to be. My guess is going to be featured at the end of this episode, and I'm sure you guys will guess with me, probably the same thing, but just stick around for the end of the episode and I will fill you guys in on these theories for the future. So we know that that's going to happen. So Zeno gives him a button that can summon Zeno anywhere. This is a huge, huge plot point, guys. I have a big feeling about this being a huge plot device, and we're going to have to see where this goes, but I'm very excited for this. So we go back to Gowasu and Zamasu having a conversation, and Gowasu basically tells Zamasu that his sense of justice is very strong and that is a good thing, but there needs to be balance between good and evil. And when you can't seek justice is basically what he's getting at. When you seek justice, it's almost like you're going out of your way to punish someone because you want to. And I think that's what he's alluding to, at least. That's just me paraphrasing, but I'm thinking that's the idea they're coming away with this one. He also makes a really strange mention that the gods are not perfect, which it makes me wonder yet again, is this foreshadowing with Zeno or anyone else? They're being very fast and loose with a lot of this stuff right now, and it's kind of strange, but I think this is clearly on purpose to kind of get our brains thinking, but to not give away too much, and to possibly even use this as something for the future, but to not necessarily have to cement it. So we get towards the end of the episode, guys, and Goku, Trunks, and Vegeta begin to depart from Capsule Corporation with a brand new time machine, and they arrive in the future. Now, Trunks is taken aback immediately because they are, for some reason, in the same spot where Mai was killed. Now, Mai's body is gone, and he sees only her beanie left, which I think is very interesting, and I really want to know where this is going. Truth be told, I really hope this is not some sort of Dick Dastardly thing where he's just like, I have your girlfriend. That would be absolutely silly and ridiculous, but we will see, because Dragon Ball does whatever it pleases. So we see that occur, and all of a sudden, these rockets fire in from men wearing basically dollar store Great Saiyaman costumes, which is absolutely hilarious. The little helmets and everything, like, it's very generic, like soldier looking kind of things. And right before the rockets hit, guys, the episode ends, and we have to wait again. And I just can't wait, guys. I am so excited about everything that's going on, and this is just wonderful. I loved this episode, and I know that's not very action heavy, and that's fine, but we don't really need that. Right now, we need a lot of exposition about what's going on and kind of to be able to advance the plot a bit further. So here's my theories, guys. These are pretty big ones. So we now know that all of this stuff is going on with Zamasu. We know all of this stuff is going on with Zeno. And I have a feeling that, and this is just me predicting the end of the arc, so here we are, I believe that whatever happens, because we see this preview, and by the way, guys, Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan Rose, or at least Super Saiyan Rose, is confirmed in the trailer. We now know that it is true. So I have a feeling that this fight is going to be way too much for Goku and Vegeta. We even see Vegeta kind of getting beaten pretty badly after this transformation, and I have a feeling that they're not going to be able to take him, and that Goku's going to either accidentally summon Zeno, or he is going to summon Zeno on purpose. And I'm wondering if Zeno is going to take Black as a playmate, because obviously he looks like Goku, which we all know, but he's also kind of very brash and willing to kind of fight anyone, it seems like, at this point. So I'm definitely thinking that that's the way that this arc is going to end. Now, whatever happens from there is going to be very interesting, but we also know that Beerus and Supreme Kai are connected. Now, this makes me wonder yet again, who is the god of destruction of Universe 10? Who is the opposite of Gowasu? And if there isn't one, will it be Zamasu? That will be interesting, and I'm also really unsure of whether Beerus's ki is evil or not. And that's something I'd like to research into more and kind of let you guys know about in the future. So we will definitely be talking about that a bit further. So I wanted to give a mention to a fellow fan, and he commented to me in the last video, and he brought up some really interesting ideas about this whole thing that I've been talking about with a possible alternate timeline Goku. He also brings up a lot of different interesting facts about what's going on with the whole situation where Beerus wished back the Earth from the other Earth, at least the alternate one of his brothers. So this is very interesting as well. Now, did he go through and choose something different? Yes. Do I find it to be interesting? Absolutely. So could Zamasu fuse with a dead Goku, or a Goku from that timeline that has been restored? Is there someone similar to him in his timeline? Or is it just simply that he's a shapeshifter, or he's fused with Gowasu and has gained a new ability? Now, this guy's name is William Parker, and I just wanted to give him an honorable shout out because he really got my mind thinking. And I think that this is a great idea, guys. This is very, very cool. And I would absolutely love to see something like this implied or at least kind of put forth into the episodes. Very interesting call. So thank you very much. And I will definitely see you guys next time in the comments. But to finish up my predictions, I definitely find a lot to be interesting with that. And I think there's going to be things going on with that. But yes, who is this new god of destruction? Is there one, and will Zamasu be one? So we're going to have a lot of questions answered very, very soon, and it's going to be very interesting to see where this show goes, guys. So let me know how you feel in the comments. Let me know your predictions. Leave me a like, subscribe, and I will be back next week with the new episode. So until next time, come on back to the First Impact channel.